Welcome to the Be You Brand podcast. I am your host, Ati Greenspan, and if you're looking to build $1 million personal brand, sell out your services, and do it all while living your best life and fulfilling your purpose, you've come to the right place. Welcome aboard, my friend. Hello, everybody, to another episode of the Be You Brand podcast. And this episode is coming to you a week after Be You Brand Live. And there is so many topics that I want to talk about in the upcoming weeks. But the one that has been resonating with me the most this week as I am talking to women after the event and we are starting to onboard our new clients for BU Brand, for Ascension Mastermind, all these different conversations are taking me to the same place. And one of the things that I love about this conversation that we're going to have in a second is because this has been also my own transformation. And the topic is actually having women friends, women girlfriends, or trusting women. And I'm going to go into how I think these dynamics are happening, but also I want to warn you, I have a few things that I wrote down that I want to touch on, but I'm going into these in a raw manner because I want to speak from my heart. And this is not necessarily a teaching episode. It's more of a opening your heart, opening your eyes, opening your awareness to where we are at in our journey in this universe, but then also why I believe that we have grown to not trust other women. So the amazing thing that happened at BU Brand Live, this is not the first year that this happened. This happened also last year, 2023. It was our first event. 2024, second event. Women are connecting with each other, collaborating in a way that I could have never imagined before. Now, I want to proceed with this. I have been in other rooms like this. And part of me creating Video Brand Live is I put myself in rooms where women are helping each other, where women are collaborating. And I looked around me and I realized that I truly didn't have that support system. I really didn't have that in my life. And I wanted to create that for myself, but I also wanted to create that for other women. So let's get started. I'm gonna start putting my thoughts out there. And I wanna start with this question. Have you ever felt that you couldn't trust other women? Maybe you couldn't trust other people, because I grew up the same way. And what is so incredible is when I look back at my life, I grew up with mostly guy friends, mostly guys that I still till this day, they are my friends. There is a particular friend right now that is helping me with my dad. My dad is transitioning between selling his house in Argentina and here and going, like, people that I trust with literally my heart. Like, I trust them with my parents. I trust them with my money. Like, I know them since literally I was in first grade. But when I look at my women friends, I have very few of those in my life. I had very few of those in my growing up. And as I am growing and I'm doing more personal development, more personal growth, more women are coming into my life that I can trust, that we are connecting, that we are building something together. And I think that this comes down to our personal growth. Now, what inspired me to do this episode, and I doubted, I was like, would women want to hear about this? But it kept coming up in conversations with clients and people that were at the event. And I'm like, okay, a lot of people are thinking about this. I was talking to one particular client. She was at the event and she was like, when I first came into the academy, one of the things that actually was stopping me when I was making the decision, I was like, there is this field where they're all like raw, like rooting for each other. And I never really had that in a women group, and actually made me really nervous. But then once I was on the inside, like I realized that truly everybody's trying to help everybody and everybody's collaborating. And I don't understand why I never had that growing up. And I want to go back and tell you a story. When I first started my business, and I say first, the business the way it looks like today, the coaching, the personal branding, photography, what truly lit me up and brought me into this realm that I am right now, that it's empowering. It's not just about building a business, but it's also about empowering women. I had a friend of mine that I knew for like over 20 years. And the relationship was already rocky once I had my son, and once I stopped partying. And of course, there is two sides to every situation. And I'm sure that there is another story on the other side of my story, but that is the whole point, right? Like for me, one of the things that I saw with time, and this person is not in my life anymore, and this person always was questioning like why I wanted more. And there was these things where I saw a lot of like resentment from the other side every time I wanted to get out of the tribe. And I was doing things out of my comfort zone. And this person also grew a business, and I'm actually really super happy for her. But we're no longer friends because we were not aligned in our values, we were not aligned in our vision. And what I realized is that this person could not be happy for my happiness, even though I was in the pursuit of a different thing at the time that was different than what we created together, right? Like she knew me back from bartending. She actually was a friend of mine from Argentina. But the moment I started looking outside of my world and I started expanding, it was very obvious that it bothered her. And with time, I got tired of trying to fix whatever it was that I never even knew would happen, because I realized that some people are supposed to be in your life for a reason. Some are supposed to be in your life for a season, and that it's okay. And as women, we have all these complicated feelings and all these complicated emotions and all these, we want to be liked because we don't want to get kicked out of the tribe. We want to be liked. We want to please people. We come into business with all these different emotions that I believe when we go into business, they actually play against us, because the moment, so business growth and personal growth, both, they're intricate, they're together, right? You cannot build a business if you don't grow yourself. And one of the things that I noticed is the people that loves us, and let's talk now about like friends and like these feelings of feeling not enough and all of that. When if you talk to a guy, a lot of the times they don't really have the same feeling. But when you talk to other women, a lot of the women that are growing big businesses and they're going far and they're doing the things that you and me want to do, right? Like we are talking like the people that we aspire to be. So you may see me like that, but there is other people that I am looking at, right? The people that we aspire to be, the people at the top, the people that are doing personal development, personal growth, they're growing their business, they are also growing their awareness, and they're surrounding themselves with people that are doing big things. So when you are doing big things, you're not looking at what somebody else is doing because you're busy with your own shit. And I want to make sure that I put this out there. I am not perfect. I have shitty feelings sometimes. And sometimes you'll see somebody and you'll feel like things are easier for them, or they have it served or whatever it is. But the truth is, every single one of us at any level, we're all going through our own shit. We're all going through something, either personal, in our business, in our relationships, with our parents, in our health, whatever it is. I want you to think about this. When we are young, right? And I'm like in my mind, what it's coming up is when maybe we're teenagers and we have that group of friends or whatever. A lot of the times the competition comes from finding a boyfriend or a mate, right? Or something like that. And we are very immature and we have all this lack of confidence. And at least that was me, or at least that was my experience. But we have this insecurity where when we see other women having what we desire, or they see us having what they desire. And I believe that as we grow up, not only in our personal growth, but in our business, and we talked about this being intricate, right? Like one doesn't live without the other one. Now we start realizing our own power. We start realizing our own shine. And one of the things that was really clear at BU Brand, and this is what I want to foster, there was somebody in the room during the VIP. She was like, I still don't have my own business and I don't know. And these women look like they're so much more ahead than me. And I told her, listen, this room and every room that I curate, you are here for a reason. It may be for you to experience what the other women are doing so you can have the courage to do your own thing. It may be for you to look around and see what's possible for you. But every single person and whatever room that I am curating, you are allowed to be who you are 100%, whatever you're at. And this is a caveat, I'm going to challenge you to get out of your comfort zone, because part of us looking at other women as competition is, number one, not looking at our own genius and actually believing that we have that genius. Number two, I believe, is not allowing ourselves to be ourselves because we have fear of being judged. When you're in a room where literally the person standing on stage is telling you, in this room, you are allowed to be whoever the fuck you are right now. You are allowed to be a work in progress and a masterpiece at the same time. All of a sudden, we are creating that camaraderie between each other, between all of us. Because if you've heard the podcast before, and when we talk about personal branding in particular, the truth is that it doesn't matter if two or three people do the same thing. Nobody can do it the way you do. So if you are thinking that people are going to steal your clients, that people are going to steal your ideas, now I will invite you, because I have been through this. And actually, I have had my ideas stolen, or my ideas copied, or my ideas whatever. And what I want you to understand is there is a possibility that somebody can still shit on your garden or do something that is wrong. But one of the things that I believe, I was talking about this with the same client the other day during a photo shoot, is I believe also that when we create community, is less likely that somebody it's going to like shit over you, like it's going to screw you over, because in the community now they will get bad reputation. So this is going back to the cave days, right? Like women in general, we want to help each other. We want to create that community. We're craving that community. Now, if on top of that, we are part of a community where our values are common to the tribe, are common to the community, now we're less likely that people are going to shit on your garden, that people are going to do something. Because for me, for example, integrity is so important. And I talk about it all the time. That doesn't mean that at some point there may be somebody in my community that will act out of integrity. But one of the things that I always tell people is, even if something happens, you want to step in and you want to be the person that actually talks about it. You don't want to become the catty person that is talking about somebody else. Like for me, for example, I don't like talking about other people. I grew up in an environment where people actually love to gossip. That is how they what is the word that I'm looking for? How they bond. And still till this day, sometimes I have to tell my mom, hey, you know what? I would rather talk about something like different. Like I really don't want to talk about other people. I don't care. I want to discuss ideas. I want to discuss growth. I want to discuss, I know we can discuss a movie, we can, whatever it is, but I don't want to sit down and talk about other people. Now, in business, sometimes you have to understand, and if you were at the event and you remember what Gavi talked about, what are those levels of friendships? What are all those levels of relationships, right? Some people are going to be collaborators. Some people are going to be referral partners. Some people are going to be true friends. But this is where your intuition needs to kick in. Now, this is a caveat though. Is it your intuition kicking in that is telling you, hey, maybe this person I can trust? Or are you distrusting every woman that is wanting to maybe be part of the community? Maybe you have in your heart, you would love to host an event, you would love to host a networking dinner or whatever it is. And all of a sudden, you're like, shit, yeah, but I don't trust women. And for me, this was like this for the longest time. And then it started with me in 2019 when I went to that event that I always talk about. It was Kayla Craft event. I think it was called Mommy Millionaire. And that was the first event ever that I went, and it changed my life. And I still am friends with people from that event. But this is the thing. You have to understand that business and life, they're in different places. They're in different, we are all in different places. So sometimes you will have a lot in common with somebody, but then that person might change their business model, or there might change their schedule, may change, right? Like for me, I'm a mom, so I can hang out a shit ton. I go out a little bit and stuff like that, but for example, for me, I can only go network on Monday and Wednesdays, right? So there is not a lot of events at the time. And I have had people, even when I was reaching out for sponsorships, somebody that hosts a local event here said, hey, we haven't seen you in a while at my event. It was like this weird inquiry where it had to be very transactional. And I was like, hey, yeah, because that your event is very early in the morning and that is drop off time for my kid. And she was like, but yeah, it's every 6 weeks. And I was like, yeah, but that's a non-negotiable for me. I drop off my kid at school every day. So that's okay. That's showing me who that other person is. Now, does that mean that I'm never going to do any collaboration with that person? No. It's showing me how they want the relationship to be, and I can accept it and do something in the future, or I can move on and be okay, you know what? This is not how I want to do business. And either or, it's okay. So going back to this, I want to touch in a few points that I think are important. Number one, if you right now are growing your business and you do not have a community that you can turn to, you don't have other business friends, you don't have other women that also building a business, you are missing out on truly learning from other people without even realizing. Because you're going to learn from people that are ahead of you, you're going to learn from people that are behind you, you're going to learn from people how are they doing the same than you're doing, but how also they're doing other things. So that's number one. Number two, if you are new to entrepreneurship and all your friends are not business owners, I guarantee you that you're feeling super fucking lonely. Because guys, like I'm recording this podcast on a Sunday at 6:55 p.m. by myself on my in my office, right? So what do? We spend most of our days working on our business and we are alone, right? We are solopreneurs. Like I have a super successful business and it's me, my assistant she's in here in Las Vegas, but I barely ever see her because we do Zoom all the time. And then we have one VA in the Philippines. So entrepreneurship, unless you have a super team and you're going to work into an office, most likely you are working by yourself in front of your computer most of the time. And that is the perfect formula for you to eventually quit or feel like you don't know what the fuck you're doing because you don't have any feedback. Now, we all know from the amazing Jim Rohn, which is so true, which is we are the average of the 5 people that we hang out with. This is the thing. If you want to do a sport and you want to be better, you want to be surrounded by people that do that sport. If you want to do business, and you want to do better, you want to be surrounded by women that they're doing similar things than you, because that's when you see what it's possible for you. That's why if she's doing it, I can do it too. So, with that being said, if you are having these thoughts of, I can't trust people, I cannot trust women, I don't know how to build my community, I'm going to tell you, this was the hardest thing for me to actually learn because I was going into rooms and I didn't understand how to create win situations. And I can do a whole episode on this if you want. I would love for you to let me know either on Instagram, send me an email, whatever. But it's like, for me, it took me years to understand this. But the truth is that you have to go into these relationships, number one, willing to be vulnerable. Number two, willing to be 100% you, wherever you're at, whatever that means to you, right? So if you are feeling weird on your skin and you feel like you don't belong, most likely either you don't belong because that's not the room for you, and that's okay. You might have to look for other rooms where you truly find your people. That doesn't mean that you don't fit or you don't belong. That means just it's different people and they may have different values, and that's fine. It doesn't mean there is anything wrong with you. On the other side, for me, it was truly understanding how to ask questions, how to get into a conversation with another woman and ask about her business and truly be of service before I ever wanted to talk about what is that I do. Okay. And the other thing is playing the long game and not looking at people with the money sign on their forehead. I know you heard this before on my podcast, but this is so important because this is how you can start inviting people into your world, into if you want to create networking event or you want to start going to other women events, you want to support other people within your boundaries, right? Like I told the story, like I can't go to your 8:30 a.m. like thing, right? On a Wednesday morning. Sorry. My kid goes to school. So sometimes you may have to put your own boundaries, but that doesn't mean that you cannot build relationships with the people that are in the same place that you're at and they are a little bit ahead of you. The other thing that I put in here was confidence grows by doing. I want to tell you actually a story from a client of mine. She is in the View Brand Academy and she just joined actually Ascension. One of the things that we talked about for her, I asked her, what is the biggest thing that you got on their first year on the View Brand Academy? And sometimes I have my own expectation, right? I want to talk about how many clients she got or how her social media grew or whatever, something like that. But what she told me like was so profound. She was like, before the academy, I could not go into a room and actually stand on my own confidence. I didn't know how to talk about my business and I felt alone in an island and I was so unconfident that I did not want to go into these rooms. Now, I pushed her to start looking for rooms where she felt like she belonged. And before she found a few, she actually went to a few that she didn't. And she was like, this is not the room for me. These are not my people. And I pushed her to keep going until she did. She was like, I went into this room and it was all the people that are like me. They're very spiritual, but they are running businesses and they want to be profitable. And then now I am going to be hosting a workshop for them. And she understood once you find it, you understand it, but you have to start trusting other women that are in the same path than you. Now, a few things that I want to talk before I finish this. Number one is if you are having feelings of competition within you, not on the other people, but within you, I want you to know that you're not alone. I felt them before. And one of the exercises that I do for these is really stand strong, like journal. What are my strong points? Why do I think somebody else is better than me? Because it never comes down to thinking that the other person is going to steal your clients. It may come down to you actually thinking you're not good enough, but you have to go inward to actually realize, is it coming from you or is it truly coming from the other person? So again, I'm calling you up for you to do personal growth. How do you stand on community as opposed to competition? Now, you do not have to collaborate with every single person you meet, but you can create community and you can have a referral circle where other people do the same than you. For example, my friend Jackie, she's also a photographer. We both do personal branding photography, but our styles are so different. Her stuff is more glamour and studio and headshotty. It's awesome. Like I did photos with her recently. My stuff is lifestyle, several poses, several locations, natural light. It doesn't matter. Like we, in paper, it looks like we do the same, but we don't. And I want you to explore that for yourself because you're going to realize that's exactly the same for you. When you have clarity on who your ideal client is, when you have clarity on your offer, when you have clarity on where do you shine, on what is your zone of genius, as opposed to you trying to do everything for everybody, right? So now we get into the strategy part. But the other thing is you build trust by trusting. So just like with getting out of your comfort zone. So when I talk about getting out of your comfort zone, I always talk about the rubber band, right? There is a moment where you're like expanding a rubber band. It still feels like it's loose and it's comfortable and you start expanding it. But you cannot so hard that you go so much out that you're going to break it, you're going to snap it. So in order for you to grow out of your comfort zone, we literally, just like in sports and anything else, you do something that is a little bit out of your comfort zone. And then you do something a little bit more. And then you do something a little bit more. And then eventually you look back and you're like, oh my God, can't believe I'm here. Like that was me during the event, right? One of my first ever clients was at the event. One of my first ever people in Be Brand Academy was there. We were talking. Do you remember when it was me and three clients? Me and three clients. That's how BU Brand started. And now BU Brand Live is a movement. We had almost 100 women join the event. We have women listening to the podcast. We have women on my Instagram. We have women on my Facebook group. Like the community keeps growing, right? And it all started with me teaching three women under this name of BU Brand. You trusting and really starting to trust not only other people, but your intuition. So there is two books that I want to recommend you when it comes to building community and really growing yourself, but also how do you create this community and you understand and you grow to a point where you can truly collaborate and create community with other women from a place of expansion and not from a place of fear or being catty. Or because I'm going to tell you, I know for sure the women at the top, the women that are doing big things, they're collaborating. They are not competing. There were at least three personal brand coaches at my event that they spoke. Like Jackie opened the event. She's also a personal branding photographer. We also have Brie Norberg, who she teaches personal branding in a different way than I teach it. We had Kate Sillyberg, who she was working for somebody and now she's going on her own and she's going to be doing something around personal branding. And this is the thing, you guys, we can all coexist because we are different people and we attract people from different frequencies from how we are and how we teach. So I want to encourage you. The two books that I love, one is actually Lori Harder's A Tribe Called Bliss. She wrote this several years ago, but if you have ever heard of her or you listen to her podcast or you see what her and her husband are doing, everything is about creating community and networking because they truly believe that the money that you want to make and the life that you want to live is all about building relationships. And I'm going to tell you, I believe the same thing. And I highly recommend her book. And the other book is, I'm going to have to edit this out, but it's the other book is The Four Agreements. Now, I'm going to put both books on the show notes because I believe that these books, especially the Four Agreements, when you realize that you can live by those concepts, and usually when people are acting weird towards you, it's never about you. It's always about them. It's whatever they are going through, whatever they have going on in their mind, even when they do you wrong, right? When I look back at the story that I told you about my friend and me growing my business and when I had my kid, this is all about what was going on for her, whatever she felt. Maybe she didn't feel like safe around me. Maybe I did do something she never told me. But this is the thing, right? It's all about what's happening in the other person. And I want to leave you with the concept of women at the top are collaborating. Women at the top are helping each other. Women at the top are creating neat communities where we can all freaking win because our audiences are going to go with the person that they feel the most empowered and they feel like they can learn from. And our offerings are completely different, even if on the outside they look like they're the same. So I want to encourage you to find your community, to create your community, to go out there and maybe host your own dinners, your own events, your own networking events. You do not need to start with something huge. You can start with something small, but start surrounding yourself with other women that are doing the same that you are doing, my friend, and you will never look back. I hope this was helpful. I'm going to put everything on the show notes, and I'm going to let you know the personal branding bootcamp or signature event is going to be happening November 11th through the 16th. So we're going to put that link here on the show notes also. This is a 5-day live event for you to know how to grow your personal brand, be more authentic, know how to create content. What are all the things, all the pieces that you need together to build a profitable personal brand? And I'll see you next week. And I hope that you love this episode. Leave us a review, share on social media. Let me know what you think. I love you. Bye.